I had done a wreath making class with some friends mostly, and it was fun. It was good, and I have like a good supply of material and everything. I just don't like making a lot of the same thing over and over again. Every year I make my mom a bouquet, or not a bouquet, a wreath for her door, and then I usually make them for myself, and then a couple of years ago I started making them from other people and trying to sell them, but then I just discovered that I don't really like making a lot of wreaths. It's kind of like me and flower bouquets. I just do not like making more than like 4 at a time. It's weird. Because I don't feel like I'm good at it, and while I'm like a normally very creative person, all my painting stuff's over there. And I do enjoy doing it, I'm not trying to make a ton of something. Especially like prickly wood. Like I love using natural everything. Like material that I grew specifically, or if I know where I can get a lot of something. But it's just not enjoyable to me. So I'm going to show you how to make one, and then you can make one yourself. And then maybe I'll like sell like materials you can make your own. Because once you learn how to do it, it's not that hard. It's hard on your fingers because of the wire and the plant material. I always end up like with some, and you have to wear gloves for a lot of the plants, but if you don't wear plants, or even if you do, I get like some rashes on my wrist, and it's not fun. So anyway, stay tuned, and I'll show you how I make a wreath. First step is to get material, or have access to material. Fortunately for me, I have access to basically a tree farm, and my husband does tree work, so I always have, if he's like going to do an evergreen job around this time of the year, I like try to go along with him and harvest as much before he puts it in the chipper. But also when I moved in here, there were these beautiful Leyland cypress trees. There's like 10 of them along the line here. And these, whatever you get the most of is what is the best thing to make the base of the wreath before you put on the fancy stuff. So these are perfect for that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut probably enough for a ring right now. I'll show you how to do that. Here's all the trees. And I usually go around the bottom of the tree and try to find a spot where you're not going to notice the prune. And then you just go back to where the branch meets the, and there we go. Now I already cut a bunch before this. I decided to make a video about it, so. All your materials ready to go. The first thing you're going to want to do is make a hook or a hang it on a nail. And this one, I already have it somewhere here. I just make a very basic, I twist around a piece of wire, I stick it through, and just make sure it's on there. So it's going to hold it up. I'm sure you can find a video on how to do this. I just do it quickly, and it's not very beautiful, so I suggest finding another video for that one. And another important thing is I would either tie a ribbon, or somebody suggested last year to use like a paper clip, which is still on this one, and to put that through where you have that hanger thing, because you're gonna lose it. As soon as the green starts going on, you're gonna forget where the top is, and you're gonna want to know where the top is while you're like building the wreath. So that's just a good advice. Yesterday I made one and it had a ribbon already on it, and that was even better because it's like colored. This is just a paper clip. So yeah, that's the first step. Okay, so when you get all your material, cut it, bring it inside. You're gonna want to put it in a bucket of water, the stems, and they'll last for a long time in water outside in a shady place, and as long as it doesn't freeze, they'll be okay. So these are all the ones I cut that I'm going to work with to make a base for the wreath. I cut like 2, 4, 6, 8, like 12 branches, I think. I usually don't make too many cuts from one tree because I don't want to hurt it. And you want to make sure your pruners are clean. You don't want to spread disease. So I just have like alcohol wipes. I wipe off the blades usually when you like cut something new, really. Especially if you notice like it has disease or something. So now let me get the wreath materials. So all you need to make a wreath, besides a lot of greenery, well actually not even that much, but is a wreath frame, which I found at like Michael's or Hobby Lobby. And I would recommend getting them soon because they seem to sell out. But I'm sure you can order them on the internet though, so I've always just end up getting them at the store. And then I have some wire cutting tools and pliers and this like floral wire. And this is all I use to make a wreath. Okay, so the second step was put your hair up and put some makeup on because you look really bad. Anyway, so here we go. So the good thing about this, yesterday I made a wreath with blue spruce, which was fine and beautiful, but first of all it was like super prickly, and I'm pretty sure that was the one that gave me a rash, and it took a lot longer to make the base because of all that. So this will be nice because I don't have to wear gloves. So I'm going to grab a couple pieces out of here. You want it to curve. I always work clockwise for some reason, even though in everything else I do counterclockwise. But you kind of like line up the first piece at the top. And I think with Leyland Cypress you can also like weave in if you want to. But for the top, I'm just going to like, for now, for just tying in, I'm just going to just tie that right to that. So the second thing you might want to do is cut a bunch of pieces of wire so you just have it accessible. I keep it in this little basket. I keep them in because they just kind of get everywhere. I cut about, I don't know, 4 inches. And I probably cut at least 20 or so to start because you're going to use a lot of wire. I love working with wire though, it's so flexible and easy to use and holds. And it, like the thing that I used for the hanger part, like that lasts at least a year or so. Over a year. So I'm going to cut a bunch of these. And then, so now I'm going to attach stick the wire through there, through the branch and the wire, and then you just tighten it on. Twist it on. This is where it's good to use the pliers to make it tight. And then, if you need another one down, you might need to put 2 on to get started. So I'll probably put another one right there to hold it on. Alright, so there we go. First piece is on. I'm just going to let this all file out for right now because by the end of it, it might all be sticking out like that, so it might be okay. So then I'm just going to keep doing this. So the next piece I put on, I'm going to put underneath the one that's coming out, so you don't see the branch. You can stick the branch back pretty far. And even with this Leyland Cypress, like I could just, without using too much wire, I could just weave this in through the metal. But you want to make sure it's snug in there. And you don't want the stem to be sticking towards the front, obviously. So yeah, I'll probably put a piece of wire in anyway. But I'm going to work around and I'll show you after one layer. Another thing to note is that these, most of the greens are going to have a top and a bottom. And the top's always going to be a little darker and then the bottom side's going to be lighter. So you're going to want to try to always keep the tops facing out. Unless you like the look of that, but otherwise you're going to just want to apologize for the quality. I'm just using my Samsung phone that's about a year old now. And I don't really have a video camera otherwise, so. So after I tucked in those bits, now I'm adding I'm just filling in like some of the holes that I see. You want it to look even. You don't really want to see any wires. But if you do, it's not a huge deal because you are going to be adding other stuff on top. Those up. It smells good too. And sometimes the pieces just don't work. And you pull them out and you start over. I've started over many wreaths. It's not the best, but whatever. You gotta do what you gotta do. There's no exact science. Every branch is different also, so you just have to find where it's gonna work. And every so often you're gonna want to like look at the back and make sure there aren't pieces like sticking up too crazy. There is one. And that's usually why the wire comes in, because if that's in and they're tight, they're not gonna flail out like that. Alright. It's getting there. So you see? So you almost have a nice base to work on. So for someone like me, this activity, it takes time, and patience. Something that I don't usually have a lot of. I don't know if you can tell by the way I speak, but things that don't take a lot of time normally, so that's a reason I don't like to, I wouldn't try to make a bunch to like sell, because it's just time consuming. Really. And it's not like, I do enjoy doing it. I don't know, it's just weird. I used to work at a garden, and that's where I learned how to make them from a friend who knew what she was doing. And when I didn't work there anymore, I was like, hey, I could still make wreaths. Okay, I just finished my first round of the cypress. So now I'm going to hold this up from the hanger. I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to see, I can either hang it on a wall, or I have a hook over here I could do it, but already I can see where I'm going to need to like tuck in. And this has already been like 3 times faster than yesterday with the spruce, because I was able to tuck a lot of the long, very flexible branches in. And now I'm just going to either like tuck these in or try to wire them somewhere where they're not. I do like that effect, but you don't want, you still want a center ring, and you want it to look relatively even. So I'm just going to go ahead and crack that. So here's the finished wreath base hanging on a door. And what I forgot to say is that it's easier to work on when it's like hanging after you have the base already established. So when you're first doing it, I would suggest doing it on a table and then moving it to somewhere you can hang it and work on it. Now that was kind of an abrupt ending, but after I finished that, I went to the grocery store. And I decided I'm not going to finish the rest of the wreath today, so yeah, maybe tomorrow I will finish it, and maybe I'll make another video then, but for now this will just be how to make the wreath base. So if you did that, then you can watch the next video I put out. But this making a video thing is a lot harder than it looks, but I don't know how everybody does it so easily. It makes it look so easy. But if you do make a wreath base, I would keep it outside and out of direct sunlight, because that's the doom of it all. Anyway, thank you for watching. Bye.